Hello, today is Ballpoint Pen Day. It's a little superhero art supply that lives on desks and in drawers, and it sometimes gets forgotten about. But today our sketchbooks are calling. Don't ask me why I have such a shiny version here. Weirdly, it's the only one I could find in my shed, and it is unexpectedly fancy. Still, at its core, it's a simple blue ballpoint sole. So let's grab a sketchbook and put it to good use. I have 5 sketchbook ideas to share with you today, and I really hope you enjoy trying them out. Some are short and swift, others take a smidge more time, but all of them make the most of a ballpoint pen's talents. There will be timestamped chapters marking each idea, so you can skip around easily to the ones you gel with the most. Let's get our scribble on! Okay, one of the best things ballpoint pens can do is scribble, right? They allow for such free and easy, fast and furious wibbly wanderings. So this first idea taps into that and is a fun warm-up that has absolutely no weight attached to it. Apologies for the slightly blurry footage here too. My camera was fascinated by the wrong end of my pen. Anywho, as you can see, I penciled a circle onto my page, and now I'm creating scribbles. They start as a point in the centre where I'm pressing harder and the ink is darker, and then I'm scribbling in a rough spiral around it. As the scribble widens out, I use less pressure and it becomes a kind of flower. These are so quick to do, and you can choose how big you want them to be. I decided to make lots of different sizes, all scattered inside the pencil circle I had drawn. Now, for reasons I'm not quite sure of, on this page I added some extra semicircle areas above and below my pencil circle, and I figured I'd fill those in with flowers too. And at the end, I thought it looked a bit weird. So on another page, I created my original thought of just having a single circle cluster in the centre of the page, which I think looks better. But it's always good to experiment, so no regrets. Anywho, once you have a bunch of blooms done, the next step is stems. I'm just using simple straight lines coming down from the bottom of each flower aligned with its centre. These stems are optional to add, but I think they give a nice bit of contrast between all the wiggles. Lastly, I'm erasing all the pencil lines and ta-da! I think it looks pretty sweet. This one doesn't take too long to do, so it's a perfect excuse to get your pen moving. Let me know if you try it. This is the only idea using an extra item, which is washi tape, and I'm ripping it into strands so I have at least one rough edge on each tiny strip. Now, this is a little fiddly, and if it's too faffy for you, that is okay. You could always use the washi without ripping it and just stick to using straight edges. I'm putting one strip horizontally on the page with the rough edge facing upwards, and then I'm placing other strips above it, bending them into a simple blocky boulder shape with the rough edges facing into the shape. Then I make another of these slightly below and to the right. I try to make the shape of this boulder slightly different to the first. And then it's ballpoint time. The washi tape is acting as a simple border mask here, which means I can scribble away inside the shape and not worry about the edges. One of the great assets of ballpoint pens is their speed. You can do quick, loose, hatching strokes, back and forth, pressing harder or softer as you go, creating gradients with each layer that you add. What I like about having the washi border is that I can be faster and freer in my colouring of these shapes, and this makes my line strokes more even. I'm enjoying having gradients in mind, but you could just block colour if you wanted. And you don't have to use straight lines either. Why not scribble if you like? Once the colouring is done, the washi is peeled away, and I really enjoy those clean but slightly rumpled edges. Now I can reuse the washi and make a few more boulders scattered below these, perhaps overlapping some. At this point, you might be wondering what all of this is leading up to. Very fair question. Each of these boulder shapes is a rock in the sea or at the edge of a lake. Once we have a few on the page, we can add in some soft, easy lines between them to become the calm water surface. I'm popping a border around my scene at this point, only because I want to place a boulder breaking out of it. But that's just my whim. You go with yours and see where it leads. I'm also making some of my waterlines a bit more blocky. Just a style choice I made in the moment and I quite like it. For the top of my border, I'm doing twirly-whirly lines, which I like to think hint at sky swirls. I also can't help but add a little birdie onto one of the rocks. It's essentially a semicircle with 2 stick legs, a stick tail and a beak, but it does the job. I'm just adding a few extra lines to the sky swirls and then it is done. It's simple, but it's effective. I like how it feels a bit minimalist, very clean and sparse, but also has some vigour and movement contained in those textures of the rocks. Here's a quick little crackly idea. I'm drawing a box in my sketchbook. It can be any shape. Then, starting at one edge, I'm scribbling in straight lines back and forth, some strokes longer and others shorter. And in this way, I wiggle my way along the page. Some sections come out thicker, others come out thinner, and the changes between them create a fissure line, which looks a little bit like a sound wave. Once my pen hits the other side of the box, I can add in another sound wave. I can react to the first by filling some of the spaces it provides, but essentially I'm not thinking hard about this. I'm just swishing in lines quickly and letting them fall where they may. We could leave it there, but I'm going to add in an extra touch by drawing single lines between peaks and dips between the waves. There's really no reason for this, apart from that I'm finding it quite fun to find possible connections. And lastly, I'm just colouring in some parts of the waves deeper to give them a smidge more dimension. This idea is speedy and very random, but I'm sharing it because it's something you can tuck into a small pocket of time and can absolutely fit on the edges of notebooks or wherever you fancy. Now, I admit this idea is another slightly random one. But hey, I'm hoping even if an idea doesn't feel completely for you, it might spark your own thoughts to spiral off in different directions. I've drawn a box and I'm penciling in a line near the top of it. This is going to be the top of my waterfall. Now I'm marking in some chunky letters starting with a G. This first letter is bumping into the top line and I'm putting it at an angle. Then I sketch in an E and then an M because, yep, I'm spelling out gem. It's easy and oh so obvious for me. If you try this, you can of course explore whatever letters resonate with you, or go for completely random ones, or even use numbers. Now I'm placing my pen on the top line firmly and then whizzing it out straight, letting the pressure lighten as it travels. And repeat. This is the flow of water falling down the waterfall. When I reach the edge of my G shape, I use the same method but make sure that I'm only ever starting my pen from an underside line on it. I hope that makes sense. I think the visuals can explain it better than my words here. You'll see it in action as I do the E and the M too. As I go along, I'm filling in the wider spaces with soft long lines so the flow feels consistent all over. I'm erasing the pencil lines, which gives the letters a nice soft quality, and then going back over some areas to make them darker, neater or denser. I'm popping a line along the top of my waterfall. It feels right in the moment. But if you wanted, you could add rocks or maybe some distant mountains or something. I don't know, I realise this may not be everyone's cup of tea, but I found it fun to draw. The letters tumbling over the waterfall feel quirky, and I like that it can be made to fit any word that you like. But as with all art sparks, take what fuels you, leave what doesn't. Onwards, my friend, to the last idea of the day. Now this is one of my favourites and it does take a little bit more time to do. I think this one takes me about 40 minutes, but it's super satisfying and I hope you'll enjoy it too. I'm starting in a top corner of the page, sketching a very basic fishy shape. It's essentially 3 main curves, a head curve and an eye, with a couple of hints at fins. But that's all we need for now, so don't get hung up on it. This fish is absolutely going to end up nowhere near anatomically correct. So you can leave your worries in the water. Okay, so from the end of the underside fish body curve, we're drawing a wiggly line diagonally across the page. Keep your hand loose and the line light. Then, from the end of the upper fish body curve, we're drawing another wiggly line that travels downwards. Lastly, from the fin line in the middle of the body, we're drawing another wiggly line that travels sideways. From this point, I'm turning my sketchbook around because I find it easier to feel the flow of what comes next. Starting from the fish end of a line, I draw a wiggly line which travels in the same direction, but it has more bends in it. As it reaches the end, it connects back to the original line. It kind of makes it look like a big wobbly leaf. Now I'm following the outer line, and when I travel around a curve that pushes outwards, as it bends back in, I let my pen continue and pull a line back down to meet the centre line. This creates an upside down teardrop shape. When a curve edge is pushing inwards, I continue a line to the centre in a similar way, and this creates smaller triangular shapes. As I create each triangular shape, I colour it in. Again, I'm not sure how well I'm describing this, but hopefully the visuals are filling in any gaps that I'm leaving. After making the outline of a teardrop bolder, I'm putting my pen into the pinched end of the teardrop and then pulling out lines from there into the teardrop body, letting them get lighter as they travel. I'm trying to let the lines bend with the teardrop, which helps to give them more shape and interest. I'm keeping my movements light and overlapping layers to build up the tone. Sometimes you may find larger teardrop areas which feel like they are too big or oddly shaped. These can be split up into smaller areas by following the curve of the centre line and bending back towards the outer line. At this point, I'm figuring it's time to give the fishy body a little bit more dimension. So I'm lightly shading, darker on the left, lighter on the right. Then I'm lightly scribbling in tight circles, which creates a fun, scaly effect. So onwards we go to the next swirly-whirly fishy tail. I'm drawing a bendy outer line again, but this time I do it all in one wiggly swoop, and I feel pretty pleased with myself. In the same way as before, I'm working my way down the line, creating teardrops and triangles. As mentioned, this can be a slower process, but as such, I find it pretty relaxing to draw. The repetition of finding and colouring in the shapes gives your hand something to do, and once you're in a rhythm, your mind can settle back and watch for a bit. Lastly, I'm boldening some lines on the fish bod, giving those weirdly fluffy fins a bit more definition and shading a little bit more. And then it's done! What do you think? I really love the flowy feeling of these fishy fin tails. They are nothing like actual fins. They remind me a bit of seaweed, even though, again, they are nothing like it. But I don't think it matters. They feel like fins swishing through water, and that's enough for me. If you made it this far, thanks so much for watching this video. It means a lot that you came by. I really hope you enjoyed it. Let me know in the comments if you might try any of these ideas. Do you enjoy using ballpoint pens in your art? If you can help me out by tapping the like or hype buttons, that would be jolly lovely. Here's a thank you just in case you do. And if you need a few extra sketchbook ideas, check out my sketchbook ideas playlist linked here. I hope we meet again soon. Stay curious, keep making happy, and I will see you next time.